Alright, so the last thing I want to do on this car before we button it up and put it down, go for a test drive, is replace the O-ring seal between the vacuum pump and the cylinder head. They're a common thing to start leaking. And I got one a while ago with the intention of replacing it when I do the timing belt and all that. But since I've got another about 25,000 kilometers till I need to do the timing belt, I'm going to do this O-ring seal now. That way all the work we did down below and cleanup and everything isn't going to be slowly leaked on by that. So I don't think we have to touch these coolant heaters. I'm hoping we don't. This is broken, it looks like. Out of the way. Biggest challenge is there's kind of a bracket. There's 3 bolts holding the vacuum pump on, 2 on the sides and 1 on the bottom. And there's a bracket that goes across the right 2 that have a bunch of little tabs for little hose clips, just like that one. So that is in fact 10 millimeter nuts. I can do this one, it's pretty easy to get to. Oh, maybe. Oh my goodness, that's brutal. There we go. Should not be that hard to undo, a little teeny nut like that. And it's covered in oil too. So yeah, I'm not sure how I'm getting to the bottom one though. Might have to use a wrench, I guess. I don't even know if I can use a box end. I'm going to have to use an open end, which is really not ideal. All we're successfully doing is turning the head, which I'm not interested in doing either. I don't think maybe this was supposed to be clipped on. This clip that's supposed to be on this end of that little bracket tab is broken anyway, so I think what I might just do is bend the tab back out of the way so I can get a box end wrench on it. It's not ideal, but I can't think of anything else that I have here that I could use to get on that. So there's the bracket. I just bent the 1 tab. And I'm sure I could bend it back if I wanted to, but for purposes of making this job easier, I'm not going to worry about it. And we need 13 millimeter. Start with the bottom here, I guess, because it's going to be the most challenging one. Shape, but when you can't get a hold of it to turn it, it doesn't matter how good it is. Alright, now for the grimy fun. Alright, so should not take very much persuasion at all. What a terrible design. The vacuum pump casting won't fit out past these coolant heaters. Oh, that and the O-ring is also stuck to the Terrible, 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 terrible. Come on. It's got a freaking... Oh my goodness. Oh, terrible. I'm hoping by doing this O-ring seal that the leak on the bottom of the pump here will stop. A little bit of brake clean on a rag or a shop towel and just clean the surface. You do need to probably scrape because if there's any kind of congealed oil at all, it's not going to come off just with wiping it with a towel and some cleaner. So you can't do too much blowing because it just causes more oil to come out of the passageways. Passageway, a little tiny, you probably can't see through the pump. A little tiny passageway down here, which coincides with that hole in the O-ring there. And then there's a bigger passage down there, which is this opening here. So, not a whole lot more I can do with that, other than hope that the new O-ring will seal. Should, because usually what happens is the old one just gets compressed and dried out over time, which it's pretty stiff. Doesn't look very flat, but we'll put the new one in nevertheless and see if that solves the problem. So, new O-ring gasket from Georgian Bay Motors is my supplier. I've also ordered stuff from GermanParts.ca, never been disappointed with them either. So, pop this guy in here. Like that. And I want to put a little film of engine oil. Maybe I don't. Technically, to make a really good seal, you want it to be clean and dry. But most neoprene seals, you put a little film of oil on them. Could check what the manual says, but I think we're going to put it together dry, give it the best chance of making a seal as we can. It's not very warm, I wish it was warmer, but not much I can do about that. I do need to look up the torque specification for it though. So the manual says 15 foot-pounds for those vacuum pump mounting bolts. Debating whether I should put any anti-seize on these ones. Put a little bit, I guess. They're fairly well protected inside the block, so maybe I'll just do a light coating. Actually, by the look of it, these ones have been out before because I'm getting anti-seize on my hands, so we'll follow in those footsteps and put a small amount on each bolt, but we gotta press the pump back in here now without disturbing the O-ring and without missing the slot in the camshaft. So give it a try here and see what happens. Torque the bottom one. I won't be able to, I don't think, so I'll have to do the other two and then extrapolate with a wrench and try and get it the same. I'm sure if you look up the proper procedure, they don't expect you to do it without completely disassembling this housing here, which I'm not doing. So we'll do it the hard way. Using my inch-pound torque wrench again because I trust it at least. We'll do 10 foot-pounds first, so that's 120 inch-pounds. And I'm going to do the two side ones, and then I'm going to 15, 520. Then I'm going to use the combination wrench, and I'm going to see how much force it takes to tighten these upper ones first, and then put that same amount of force on the lower one that I can't get the torque wrench on. So that's going to be something like this. So you go here, and you say, okay, that's how much it takes to move that one, and then you do this one until it's very similar. Pretty close. So then 15 times 10 is 150, that's our 180 number for 15 foot-pounds. That's pretty close. It is just an O-ring, so it doesn't take much to collapse it. But that should have a good seal on it now for us. And I should have put a little bit of anti-seize on those studs first. Maybe I can do it now without getting it everywhere. So I put it on the right way. How did I get this in here? Back on there. And little nuts. Without dropping them into the engine. Would not be cool. I didn't see any torque for these bracket nuts. I wouldn't be surprised if there is one, but I'm just going to do them up similar to the way they were when I took them apart. Doesn't take much to get it there. Good. Squeeze this guy back down in where it's supposed to be. And there. This is supposed to be down here, but that one goes there. That one goes there. That's supposed to be fastened on there, but it won't stay anyways. Cool. So that is our vacuum pump replaced and ready to roll. So the last thing we have to do before we can fire this thing up and make sure everything's good to go is put the airbox back in, because if we don't, the engine computer is going to yell that the mass airflow sensor isn't hooked up. So get that put back in here. Don't forget the little vacuum line. Plug back on our mass airflow plug there. Pull this out of here. Okay, put our intake tube back on, which has to go like that, I think. Actually, there's a little notch. I don't know about the airbox, but there's a little notch on the intake tube, and there's a little notch on this accordion pipe, and I guess you just line them up. Gives you the right position for the pipe to sit. Bend looks okay to get to the intake. So I'll just snug up this bolt holding the airbox in. Again, there would be 2 bolts holding it normally if the battery tray were in here properly, like it's supposed to be. Like that. And there's no parts left laying around, which is good. So I'll clean up my tools around the area here, and then we'll fire this thing up and make sure everything works the way it's supposed to work. So I just remembered that I never plugged back in the backup light wire or the start signal wire, so that's why you always give yourself time to think about what else you've forgotten, and always double check over things that you know were supposed to be done, and you'll hopefully catch when you've missed something. It's not going to start very well without the starter signal wire plugged in, so glad I did that before we tried to start it. But now I think we are ready to fire it up and make sure that the transmission's working properly, the shifter linkage, the clutch, all that is good. You won't know much about oil leaking until it gets a bit of warmth in it, but and here we go. I don't have any concerns about the engine, but what we've done with the transmission will be tested. So I'll just run it through the gears, make sure that clutch seems to be working fine and the transmission shifts the way it's supposed to, and get the bottom buttoned up and go for it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Shut it down before I gas myself out because I still got to put the bottom together. But everything seems to be functioning the way it's supposed to. No noise at all out of the clutch or shifting. So I'd say that's a success. So I will, I gotta put the power steering line brackets back on underneath. I'm gonna put some fluid film on the line, the steel line that's coming around. The paint's starting to bubble off, so I want to protect the steel. It's already pretty rusted in a couple spots. I gotta put the driver's side splash guard on, splash shield for the engine bay, and then get the belly pan on, and then I can get it down on the ground and roll it out for a test drive. So I'm gonna get to that. There she is. Everything seems to be good to go. So after I get stuff cleaned up, I'll do a test drive and make sure everything's ready to rock. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you like the video, drop a like and subscribe to GP Productions and the GTStech.com. If you have a comment or a question, feel free to leave it below. And if there's anything that I didn't specifically touch on in the video, either because I couldn't film it by myself or I just didn't give enough verbal explanation, feel free to comment if you have any questions, or if there's some more detail that you'd like. And there will be a article write-up on GB Productions website as well that you can check out. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.